Good God. All right. All right. I don't want to be on here long. Oh my goodness. Please tell me that game did not count. I mean, it's a win or go home game, man. I know it's a in-season tournament, but like this is the worst timing to play that way. Jeez, man. Terrible shot select. It's like, I guess we'll get into it in a little bit. Hold on, let me check. Are there any post games been put out yet? Spurs reporters, or Spurs report says say that Wemby hurt his back. And I'm assuming it's the Bradley Beal play. I swear, guys. Are we about to not have Wemby for the next game? Suns were so trash, but we were double as trash. There is no excuse for losing this game. Like, saw him grabbing his lower back. Oh, God. Guess we'll see how that goes. Team can't stay healthy for their life's sake. Dude, we haven't even been able to have Devin Vassell and Sochan start yet. That is not good. Keep this on, dude. It's cold in here. That is not good. Zach Collins OMG. Zach Collins was god awful. A lot of people were god awful in this game. Let's see. San Antonio Spurs stats. I know you guys are going to think this is crazy, but can you believe that Sochan haters are trying to find a way to blame him for this loss? I know that's crazy to think about. I guess put your head in the mind of a hater, I guess. Put yourself in the mind of a hater. Good God, man. You knew it was coming. They got to blame someone. Well, it's like a very obvious, like there's a few obvious players you could blame. Take your pick. I mean, the two that you don't blame for this loss, actually three that I wouldn't blame for this loss would be Sochan, Keldon, and Devin. I mean, there's three players that should be off the menu for blame. This was such a strange... I don't know, man. Oh, yeah, you can't... Don't blame Castle either. Sorry. Castle was alright. He did have like 3 turnovers, but he was okay, I guess. And he's too young to blame. All right, you can't blame him. Hold on, let me reload this page. All right. Nothing yet as far as post games. Okay. All right. We're gonna go straight into this. Okay. Dude, don't get me started. Victor, do not get me started, man. Well, no way to guys, no way to beat around the bush. Okay, I cannot beat around the bush on this one. All right, this was by far, in my opinion, the worst Spurs game of the season. It was absolute misery. A big chunk of that, a big part of that, is because they definitely should have won this game. And something else that I'm starting to notice that's beginning to bother me. So I'll just talk about the game as a whole, and because there's not a lot of good to talk about, right? I mean, I'll just be honest. There's not a lot of good to talk about. I need to just talk about the game as a whole and then just point out players. All right, that bothered me. All right. So one thing that I've noticed, and I was a little worried about this, right? And you know, I just hoped that, you know, it's just a little overblown, or, you know, I'm just tripping when I mention this. But one thing that I've noticed is that the Spurs last season, terrible second half team, right? And this season, not to say they're the worst first half team in the world, but there's not a lot of adjustments. And I feel like they're starting to get to the point where they're like, well, anything that we're struggling with in the first half, we'll deal with it in the third. And I think that that's a really bad habit, because you go against a good enough team. First off, you should have beat Suns, okay? You should have beat Phoenix, especially with KD out the entire second half. But I feel like you go against a good enough team, that's just not going to fly, right? You need to give them all four quarters. And I feel like this game, the Spurs made so many mistakes in the first half, and then they come out swinging in the third, and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this tendency. I'm not crazy about it. And I also think, because obviously elephant in the room is the absurd amount of threes that they took. All right, they took 44 threes at 18%. You would have thought that they got the hint, right? 44 threes, and you hit under 20% from three. God awful. And I think what's happening is the Spurs, being a young team, they're basically, because we already know this is the Spurs game plan for the season, right? They're going to take a plethora of threes every game. No questions asked. That's what they're going to do. And I just feel like the team took it a little too literal in this game. I mean, because you have to adjust. Wemby talked about adjustments and making adjustments in a game and doing whatever the team needs him to do. You got to make adjustments, man. You can't just keep shooting threes if it's not working. You can't keep doing it, especially in this game where you didn't have to. The game was within reach basically the whole game. You played pretty good defense. You didn't have to take as many threes as they took. You should have adjusted. They did not adjust. They just kept taking them. I don't understand that. I don't get it. Champagny had a really off night, and he just letting it fly. Wemby had a really off night, just letting it fly. I don't get that. That bothered me. So as a team, that's one thing that I'm worried about. And don't get me wrong, it's a better issue to have than last season. I would much rather us be a second half team than a first half team. But you gotta swing all four quarters, and I felt like the Spurs were just There's not one player, because I know a lot of people are throwing out Zach Collins right now. There's not one player to blame for this necessarily. I feel like it was just the team as a whole playing pretty poorly. But hey, we might as well point it out, okay? Vic, bro, I don't understand. Look, he's the leader of the team. He's super young, but we've seen him put up 50 points this season. We've seen him put up crazy stat lines this season. We can critique him, okay? I think that that's fine to critique him. Some people try to bring up, which is crazy. I don't know. You have to be a crazy Sochan hater to bring this up. But I've actually saw people on Twitter blaming Sochan, saying that Victor can't play with Sochan and that's why he had a bad game. That is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know how to respond to that. But this game in particular, we can critique him because he's good enough. He's good enough to be critiqued. Another reason why that's really silly is because Victor, his second game of the season, I think he put up like 30 points, right? 29? Nervous? No, he wasn't nervous. He wasn't nervous. I think that they just took the team's game plan way too literal. Vic, the way that the Suns played him, Victor brought this up. He said that he finally feel like he's figured it out where teams try to guard him a certain way. But with the Suns being as small as they are, you got to just get in the paint. Any means necessary. You got to get in that paint. I don't really understand all of the outside shots in this game in particular. At times, Victor felt like a liability. He had 4 turnovers, but dude, I swear, guys, it felt like 6 because the turnovers were so bad. It was so bad. I mean, it was already bad officiating, so there's only so much you can do there. But, geez, man. I mean, it just seemed like that, especially the first half, he was just so careless with the ball. Just so careless with the ball. I mean, picking up his dribble almost immediately and just throwing the ball in no man's land. And you know what bothers me the most about this game? This is what made it really misery, though. This in particular. That he had 0 points in the first half. Like I said, the Spurs as a whole, it seemed like they took a back seat in the first half. And then he goes into the game in the second half, beginning of the third. Look at this, guys. Hold on, I'll highlight it just so you can see his name. Control find Victor. This is what made it really frustrating. I would have been less frustrated if he was just terrible all game long. All right, so driving layup, he made it. And it was a shooting foul. He hit his free throw, right? That's 3 points within like the first 30 seconds of coming into the third half. And then he made a tip shot, okay? Now, you're not even a minute into the third yet. Then he had an alley-oop layup with 10 minutes and 37 seconds left on the clock. And then he had a 2-foot dunk from Chris Paul. And then he had an alley-oop dunk. And then he made a free throw. And then from here, I don't know what happened. It was just over. It was just over. No more shooting around the paint for Victor. I don't understand that. Yeah, he came into the game like literally the first 3 minutes and put on a show. Like an absolute show. Within those 3 minutes. Getting around the rim. And I'm watching, there was nothing that the Suns did that, especially from the beginning of the third, that they did that would have just completely prevented Victor from getting in the paint. There was just way too many outside shots. Spurs need post scores. That's an issue as well. So I won't, the thing is, like, we could easily like try to blame the coaching, but actually, guys, hold on. Actually, we'll look at the team stats. But from watching the game, it seemed like they were trying to get in the paint. It's just like you said. Hold on, who said that? Do 77, do 777. Like you said, they don't have post scores, right? They just had a really hard time getting into the paint. And this is the crazy part. As poorly as we played, we still beat them in the paint. I don't know why we didn't just punch them in the mouth when it came to this. And I know last game what really saved us was our three-point shooting. But I would like for the Spurs to make adjustments in the middle of the first half rather than waiting until halftime for them to make adjustments. And that comes down to the players, right? That's not just coaching. That comes down to the players. Oh, yeah. By the way, talking about post scores, Barnes had his worst game too. Everyone had a bad game. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, the team as a whole having a bad game. That's going to happen. But what I'm not okay with is shooting this amount when it's been so poor all game. I don't get that. And I definitely don't understand doing something that works and then Wemby just going away from it. I do not understand that for this game. I don't get it. Yeah, those are the positives. The positives is Devin Vassell did great, right? I thought Keldon had a pretty decent game. Like, I don't think Keldon had a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. He took a head-scratching 3, for sure, but, you know. And then Sochan had a good game. I mean, he definitely had a good game. He tries his best to find his openings where he can attack. It's just frustrating, man. It's just frustrating. Also, I mean, I guess we talk about coaching a little bit. I thought Sochan, going forward, Sochan should start, right? I know that they were going to have him on limited minutes regardless, but I like Sochan ahead of Harrison Barnes. And that's not just me saying it just for this game, right? I just like Sochan in general starting. I think I like the idea, especially going against the Suns, right? I mean, they had 29, nearly 30 points in the first quarter to our 19. I like the idea of getting our best defenders out there immediately, setting the tone, and then maybe you can, you know, so you don't want to stack them. Maybe you can take Jeremy Sochan after, you know, after a little while. But yeah, I say start Jeremy easily. I think he will start. It's no big deal. But Don says Wemby is hurt. Yeah, I brought that up. That Wemby had a back issue, or yeah, Victor Wembanyama hurt his back during the game. But everything that we're talking about here is pre that, right? That was the charge. I mean, I would happily give him that excuse if, you know, it happened earlier, but no. Anyways, who else should we point out here? Everyone was horrible. Victor Wembanyama was horrible. It's crazy. Even when we say he's horrible, he had a block, a steal, 7 assists, and 13 rebounds. That's crazy. But he was horrible. He was pretty awful, guys. He was pretty awful. I'm getting a little tired of the not making many adjustments in the first half and then second half, you know, going off. But I just don't understand not sticking with it when something was working. But he was, which we don't see very often, mind you. All right. He was a negative 15, plus minus 15, and Chris Paul was minus 20. That is not something we see often. So everyone had an off game. I get that. If your name isn't Devin Vassell, Devin Vassell, Keldon, or Sochan, you had a pretty off game. Like I said, Keldon, I mean, he didn't, 40% ain't great. You know, 3-point percentage wasn't great, but all things considered, I thought he did pretty well. Even defensively, I don't think Keldon was that bad. Devin needs to be starting. It just makes more sense. It's like, for me, it just makes more sense. If you want Devin Vassell to come off the bench, that's totally fine. Because you sit Wemby, eventually you'll stack them, right? But you sit Wemby, you have another offensive threat that goes in there, right? But sitting Sochan with this roster doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe when we go into, you know, the draft, this upcoming draft, you know, maybe he will be sent to the bench. But I just feel like him in that lineup sets the tone defensively, right? I don't think that Devin Vassell is a much better defender than Julian Champagnie. You know, obviously he's a better scorer, and if we're going to be utilizing his scoring ability, then I don't mind him coming off the bench as a 6-man, you know, for now. But like I said, I want to set that tone. I would much rather you just go ahead and have Sochan start. But he was hurt. He was hurt. And I think eventually as the season goes on, Sochan and Vassell will start anyways. But I'm just saying, if you had to choose, both of them can't be coming off the bench, though. I'll tell you that much right now. Another thing that was kind of weird in this game, you know, talking about coaching as well, is we did not utilize our depth at all. I don't know if you guys noticed that. At all. Mamu didn't play. Bassie didn't play. When it was the last time we've seen Branham, guys? When was the last time we seen Branham? Thanks for the super chat, man. Even on this terrible game. Thank you so much. Despite the efficiency, Castle was really good. Yeah, Castle was fine. I didn't mean to disrespect Castle. I'm not trying to disrespect Castle. No Castle hate. He was fine. I mean, percentage-wise, like you said, it wasn't great. But yeah, when's the last time? We haven't seen him since... We saw him 4 minutes against the Lakers. He hasn't got substantial minutes in about a week and a half. That's a little strange. Especially in a game like this. Okay, maybe that comes down to the lack of adjustments in the middle of the game. If you were going to continue to shoot as many threes as you were going to shoot, we shouldn't have to live or die by Champagny and Wemby. I mean, you have Branham right there. And Mamu right there. If we were going to continue to take them. I don't know. A little strange. Barnes was terrible. Barnes was terrible. He was god awful. Let me see. Barnes 1 for 8, 0 for 3 from 3. He brought you nothing. I mean, statistic wise, he brought you nothing. But even the eye test to show you he was getting burnt continuously. He looked terrible. He looked terrible. Like I said, the Spurs were attempting to get in the paint, but it was all for naught. Zach Collins 0 for 7, but he was a +4 at least, I guess. Just a, I don't know, man. Just a horrible game. Now, this is not one of those things. I probably should have said this early. I guess we're too deep into it now, and people just feel, you know, that I'm down on this team. I still say that we win 44 games. That's my win number. But this doesn't change how I feel about the team at all, right? Like, this is an off game. It's a bad game. You just got Sochan back. Trey Jones stripped out of the rotation due to being injured. Devin Vassell and Sochan both coming off the bench is kind of weird. I didn't like that. I just didn't. I know Sochan came off the bench in college, but I'm not crazy about it because we haven't seen Sochan come off the bench much at all in his career with the Spurs. So I just think that's a weird thing to do. Let's see. Yeah, he never comes off the bench. This would have been his... Wait. Guys, this legit would have been his 5th time in his career coming off the bench for the Spurs. And the last 2 seasons, his 2nd time. I just don't get that. I know he's injured. We're going to limit his minutes. Just let him play. Let him play, set the tone and then sit him. Yeah, that's a little strange. You guys notice that? I thought it was weird, him. God, it's so frustrating. It's just so frustrating. I was watching the game on the Phoenix broadcast, and they were making some goofy remarks. I watched it too. Which remarks did you dislike? I did not like that broadcast at all. It was pretty annoying. I ended up turning the volume down. Wemby probably dropped the ball on purpose. He mentioned he didn't like Vegas. Wow. They was talking crazy. I did not care for the Phoenix commentators. They were lame. Phoenix commentators were grilling Sochan's hair. I didn't hear that part. They were super down on Sochan. It was wild. Oh, okay. I didn't know. I don't know why I didn't notice that part. They were saying, I heard them say, which is crazy. I don't know what they're talking about. They said that the Spurs looked uncomfortable taking those threes. I don't know. They shot 44 of them. I don't know what they were even talking about, what they were suggesting. The Spurs have continuously shot threes this season, but they looked uncomfortable taking it. I don't know what they meant. Broadcast was a bit odd. It really was. Trey Jones would have helped today. Look, we did not need Trey Jones to win this game, okay? You got Kevin Durant gone for the entire second half. You had it within reach. You have Victor Wembanyama against 5-foot players. There was no reason to lose this game. No reason to lose this game. You did not need Trey Jones to win this one. Of course, he would help any game, but yeah, there was no reason to lose this one. Oh, man. I don't know. I didn't mean for this to be a negative post-game talk, but I don't know what to say about this game, man. They're going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. They're still fine. I don't think this changes. This definitely doesn't change how I view the team. All right. I still think we get 44 wins. It's just overall, I just don't understand. But maybe this is one of those games where, this is a cup game. Someone said it was nerves. Maybe it was nerves. And maybe this is a good punch in the face that you need, right? A nice little punch in the face. They'll wake up. I expect the Spurs to be much better next game. Much better next game. But I just hope that we can make adjustments and not solely rely on shooting 3-point shots. It were so many times where Victor passed up on a one-on-one. It's too many times to count. Maybe that's come down to him getting used to being double teamed, right? So like maybe you just automatically feel a double team coming, a phantom double team coming when it might legit be that. It might legit be that. I don't know. But yeah, they'll be okay. They'll be okay. They'll be all right. Good news is you kept them to 104. We're much better than this. We usually shoot better than this. You see, actually, each game. Is this our lowest scoring game of the season? This was by far the hardest watch of the season. I'll tell you that much. It was so difficult to watch this game. Yeah, this is our lowest. Yeah, this is our lowest scored. Oh, no. Against the Mavericks, we also scored 93. And we scored 93 against Thunder. So yeah, it's our lowest scoring game of the season. Not as hard as the game versus the Mavs. It was worse for me. And the reason being is because this was one of those games where the ones that really frustrate me are the ones where you just supposed to win. Like this is one of those where everything was on our side to win this game. There was no reason in losing this game. And it seemed like you were shooting yourself in the foot. Those are the ones that's the worst to watch for me. If we're just getting beat down by a team, yeah, that's hard to watch. But we come out and just say, they were a better team or we were missing this player or this player. But this was just one where it's like, really? 93 points? Really? No points for Wemby in the first half? Really? You start off the third quarter and you score all of these points around the basket and then we just run away from it? Really? Like, no. It was infuriating. But like I said, they were attempting to score in the paint. It's just no one on the team could really do it other than Wemby. And he refused to do it, so. Commentators were also glazing how the refs were giving the Spurs all the calls and none for the Suns. That was wild. Yeah, I did hear that. That was wild. I don't know what game they were watching. The bias. I've gotten used to the Spurs broadcast, in which, yeah, there's bias because it's your team, but it's also pretty charitable to the opposing side. And the Suns just were not. Their commentators were not. Yeah, it was lit. Look, 17 fouls on the Spurs, 16 on the Suns. It's like, what are we talking about? The refs were horrible, though. Everything was like the weakest fouls. The Spurs also give other teams some benefits. Yeah, exactly. We do. The Spurs commentators, they do. They give them love. CP3 was telling the refs that they needed to start calling calls. Phoenix Suns have a to-do organization. Check out Mitch post-game conference. It's up. All right, we'll take a look at that. All right, ending segment. My takeaways are the Spurs are much better than this. This was a miserable game to watch. Everyone was absolute trash. We won't blame our boy Castle, okay? Castle's fine. Let's not blame Castle. Castle was all right. But if your name isn't Keldon, Devin, or Sochan, or Castle, I think that you need to take some of the check that you made this game and disperse it amongst those four, okay? You didn't show up tonight. Okay, let's see. You said it's up. Is it up on... it's up on YouTube? Devin has been cooking since coming back from injury. Okay. Give me a second. All right, we're going to watch it. Mitch Johnson post game. Let me go ahead and tell you just a rundown. I already said it, but let me give you a rundown of how I felt about this game. I thought that everyone was terrible. Not everyone. I thought Castle was fine. I thought Keldon was fine. Sochan was fine. Devin was amazing, as most nights. And and I felt like Wemby was just god awful, man. I thought that he wasn't necessarily finding his spots to attack. I thought that, I don't know, I just thought overall it was horrible. But, you know, it is what it is. So, my takeaways for this game is just overall bad game. They're better than this. I think that the team as a whole was just trying their best to implement what the coaching staff has told them all season long with no adjustments at all. I mean, taking 44 threes and just waiting for it to start going is a horrible strategy. If it's not going, get to the paint, and you have the ability to do so. I thought that Mitch Johnson and the coaching staff tried their best to attack in the paint, right? Every chance they got. They were like, oh, this is a mismatch for Harrison Barnes, and he fumbled it. Oh, this is a mismatch for Zach Collins, and he fumbled it. They had Keldon Johnson try to attack the paint. They tried everything they possibly could, but the one person that absolutely needed to and had success in it within like a 3-minute time frame was Wemby, but Wemby decided to steer away from that. So I have no idea. But I expect Mitch Johnson to be pretty critical. All right, hold on, let me make this big. All right, let's listen. Oop. Pull it back. They're better than this, by the way. I don't think the Spurs are a bad team. I think they're better than this.
Did you feel like your team got something out of the experience of playing in a game like this?
Got something out of the experience of, yeah. I think it was good that they got their teeth kicked in a game like this.
Or something.
For sure. I thought
I wasn't being sarcastic.
I thought our defensive effort was really good. We turned the ball over. We missed a lot of shots. Both those things will put pressure on your defense, and I thought it held up well. If you would have told me we would have held the Suns to 104 points, I'd feel pretty good about that.
Victor came up holding his back.
That's true. That's something I didn't talk about enough. Our defense was great. But our defense has been great. We're a top team in the NBA in that. You can always lean your hat on that. That's why I didn't understand at least starting Sochan to set the tone, right? To help set the tone. But hey, whatever.
Any comment on that? Or is there any update on his status?
No, I think he got hit on that one play. But, I mean, he finished the game. We just took him out at the end for that last play. So I haven't talked or heard anything. But I think
So doesn't have no major concern.
no.
Coach, when you
Okay, so it sounds like Wemby's okay. If you guys were wondering, Wemby's okay.
have a shooting game like this, is it something that you just want to flush, or is there things you can take away from it, from tonight specifically?
Hopefully we make more shots next game. I think to be down 4 points going into the fourth quarter, and in the game in the fourth quarter, I think was a testament to some other things that are good takeaways. They had 2 offensive rebounds. They didn't have a 30-point quarter.
Anyone else pissed Keldon took so many threes in the fourth? I thought Keldon was fine this game. Like I brought that up, when we were talking about it, the post game, but I didn't like it, right? But at the same time, they took like 700 of them, so I don't know.
Again, when your offense is struggling like that, it puts a lot of pressure on your defense, and our defense withstood a lot tonight.
And by the way, Keldon isn't a finisher, right? He shouldn't finish games for the most part, most of the time, unless he's hot, which happened the game previous. But yeah.
So I think that would be the takeaway.
And what does Devin's downhill scoring and playmaking kind of meant for you guys?
Yeah, he's done it since he's been here. So as he continues to get in better shape and we get healthier and get continuity, we think that'll continue to be at the forefront for us.
What do you think clicked for Victor at the start of the third quarter, and why do you think he couldn't sustain it outside of obviously just kind of a poor shooting night for him?
Wait. Hold on. Let me hear that again. All right. Direct question about Wemby.
Need to be at the forefront for us.
What do you think clicked for Victor at the start of the third quarter, and why do you think he couldn't sustain it outside of obviously just kind of a poor shooting night for him?
Yeah. What was that? I mean, he started off the third quarter. For me, from what I've seen, he just steered away from going into the paint, right? He went back into facilitation Wemby mode, which is fine when you're getting double teamed, but I think that his initial go-to should be, okay, I'm going to attack. Like, that should be the initial reaction. I'm going to take over until they stop me. And once they stop me, then my boys are going to start draining. That's what I would like. But, it's fine. It's fine. Wishful thinking on my part. And the team has been playing very well with Wemby, doing that. So, pause. Yeah, I know. I knew when I said it.
I think he was very intentional on establishing himself in the paint and got some stuff around the rim.
Uh-huh.
And I think that got him going.
Is that something you talked about at halftime?
Oh, that was a good way of avoiding that, guys. Listen to the question again, and then listen to how he answered it.
He couldn't sustain it outside of. What do you think clicked for Victor at the start of the third quarter, and why do you think he couldn't sustain it outside of obviously just kind of a poor shooting night for him?
He just told you. So he ended up telling you the reason why he couldn't sustain it is because look, I'm just a fan, okay? I'm just on my couch, all right? I'm just a fan. But from what I saw, it was all just Wemby. That's what I saw. It was all just Wemby. It started off with Wemby attacking, getting to the paint, doing his thing, and it was nothing that the Suns did differently that forced him to not continue to do that. That's what I saw.
I think he was very intentional on establishing himself in the paint and got some stuff around the rim. And I think that got him going.
Is that something you talked about at halftime? Let's try to get him to the basket.
Yeah. And that's all the time,
Yeah.
right? We always try to mix it up, but that's where we definitely want to set a tone.
All right. I think that was a good game not to be too critical of.
On establishing himself in.
I think this was a good game not to be too critical of Wemby. I mean, obviously we're going to, right? As fans, we're going to. And I mean, I'm going to. But, I think it's good for the coaching staff or, our coach right now, our main coach, to not be critical, especially when, and not in public, because it was such a bad loss and everyone plays so poorly. There's no reason of, putting gasoline on the flames. There's really no reason for it. But in a game where we did fairly well, you could probably nitpick a little bit, right? Because you could say he played so great, but you got to work on these things and it doesn't sting as hard. But in a game like this, where everyone was so dreadful and Wemby was so god awful to his standards, mind you, that I think it is good for the coach not to be too crazy. Agree from the coach's perspective. Yeah, from the coach's perspective, there's no point. I mean, he answered the question, right? He answered in a very smart way. He answered the question. He didn't have to go with the follow-up of, why he couldn't keep it. You just answered the question of why he was successful, and now you know why he couldn't keep that up, or why he wasn't successful later. He was intentional about getting into you can tell he's pretty irritated with the team. Like, it's very obvious. And I want to just be like, it's so much easier to be like, oh, I wish the coaches would have done this. I thought the rotation was a little strange to only play 4 of our guys off the bench. And if you're going to continue to take as many threes as we did, not to at least try Mamu or Malachi Branham when the team was playing so poorly from 3. I thought that was a little strange. So that's the only critique I have there. But to the coach's credit, they were attempting to get to the paint. Right? They were making an attempt. It's just Collins and Barnes. They just can't do it. Or they couldn't do it in this game. It was awful. So, yeah, the 2 missed dunks was crazy. Yeah, you talking about the Sochan missed dunk and then the Keldon missed dunk? I chalked up the Sochan missed dunk as just him being, just now getting back. I was afraid that Sochan would be a little protective over that finger, his thumb, but he was not, dude. He was just playing like he normally does. We need a second post guy. We need Wemby to be able to pull out his post game bag, okay? We know he has it. I've seen it. We know he has it. He's not the strongest guy in the world, but we know Wemby got it. You don't score. It's not normal to score. Hold on. Go back to this game for 1 second and then I'll end this segment. This is not normal, okay? Well, I guess he wasn't really posting up necessarily. I think it was only 1 post up. Most of it was him just, getting set up. But he was just more aggressive getting into the paint. First 3 minutes, man. Layup. And 1. Tip shot. Alley-oop. Dunk. He came out another alley-oop. Like, he came out swinging. And then it just dissipated into nothingness. Dude, the lime green hair is terrible. Rodman Jr. He needs to just braid it. I think it'll look cool. It'll look fine if it's braided. He's doing it because he's developing the shot. It's development year. I'm just saying, you got to make an adjustment in the middle of this game, man. You can't just keep hitting your head on a wall. And you can tell during halftime something was said because they changed the game plan. But like, the players have to make those adjustments mid-game. The coach can't do everything. I miss Pop too. Julian shot horribly. Everyone shot horribly. I'm not the best at math, but guys, you take Devin Vassell out of this game. What the heck do our percentages look like? What the heck? The 3-point percent. What the heck? What is that? You take that out. What is that? 7, 8%? Am I crazy? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not great at math. I don't know. What's your starting lineup look like in a couple weeks? Oh, it's pretty easy. Yeah, it's Chris Paul, Steph Castle, it'll be Chris Paul, in my opinion. Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Steph Castle, Sochan, and then Wemby. There we go. Worst shooting game in franchise history if you take out Vassell. That just shows how good Vassell is, man. Also, wasn't aware that we were third best free throw shooting team in the league. Pretty interesting. All right. Clan, did you see? Oh, no, I didn't. Hold on. You sent it on Blue Sky, right? We'll end the night off on this. And someone, I'm glad you mentioned that because someone mentioned this to me. It was actually talked about by Trey Jones as well. The incident with Sochan. Crap, I don't know what my email is for Blue Sky. Oh, yeah, I do. I'm in there. All right. And you I think you tagged me on Blue Sky, right? Is this it? All right. So there's that. And then also all right, so there is a Victor Wembanyama post game, and I just don't know if I feel like listening to it. I don't care. Well, actually, I'll listen to some of it.
That well, like tonight, what would you say?
We had a good game defensively, but we can be even better if we reduce the. Not great, but yeah, it's just that happens. Not great.
More inside, lean more outside, like calibrate your game on it.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. You know, we have to balance things out, calibrate ourselves.
Yeah, you can tell they're very down. So there's no point. No point, Mitch Johnson. Throwing dirt on the wounds. Let's see. See if I can find it. Is it this? I think it's this. Someone told me it was like 1:30.
You know, some of these guys getting so much work in, before practice, after practice, and then, when their name and numbers called, they're ready.
Jeremy got a little run with you guys today.
He did, yeah. He looked like himself still.
Starting fights.
Yeah, not in practice. He got into it with someone. I feel like a little bit. It's like classic Jeremy, but yeah, he'll be ready.
Oh, is that what? Okay. All right. CBD did seem to force the issue and have some mistakes handling the ball. Dude, there were people on Twitter getting mad at me for blaming Chris Paul for that turnover. And I think it was the first or second quarter, I don't remember. Where he was trying to direct traffic and he was telling Champagny to cut. And they were like, Clan, it's Champagny's fault for not cutting. And I'm like, no, dude, you got to pay attention to your surroundings. Clan, last year, we couldn't even get a cup game win. That's true. We're much better than we were last year. And thanks for the super chat. Yeah, I couldn't believe people were getting on to me about that. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. I was like, really? All right. All right. So, one of our fellow chat members hit me up on Blue Sky. And please, guys, follow me on Blue Sky. And he told us this during last stream, is that apparently Jeremy Sochan got into it with a teammate. And this is the broadcast from the game against the Suns in which they briefly talk about it. I have not heard this, but let me turn it up and let's listen.
With 2:25 left in the first, and Trey Jones said that
Sochan got into it at practice with someone. He said he wouldn't name any names, but he said it was classic Jeremy. So he's bringing that energy to practice.
Irritates his teammates, gets after the opponent gets in their head as well.
Absolutely, as Jones will walk the...
All right. So, and this is the clip of Trey Jones mentioning it.
Got a little run with you guys today?
He did, yeah. He looked like himself still.
Starting fights?
Yeah, not in practice. He got into it with someone, I feel like, a little bit. It's like classic Jeremy. But, yeah, he'll be ready. I doubt that, he'll really be rusty at all. Just the way he plays, and he's able to muck things up in there. And just, we definitely miss his offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding. He gives us some things that, some other guys just really, you don't really find around the entire NBA. So we'll definitely.
All right, so you love to see it. You love to see it. So any takeaways from this? It seems like there's nothing to really worry about, right? I feel like when we initially say that he got into it with someone, it definitely sounds bad. But at the same time, this probably happens every other practice with Sochan. Let's be honest. And it's very similar to Draymond Green, but I think in a way more healthy way, right? I feel like Draymond, he takes it to a whole nother level, whereas Sochan, it's all about competing. A lot of times I feel like Draymond, he does things and it's kind of about him, right? Or he's letting out some anger in certain situations where it just goes way too far, even with his own teammates. But that doesn't seem like the case with Sochan. And it's important, too, to have this type of mentality. And honestly, guys, look, you can say all you want about how Sochan should be traded, or, I mean, people are not really saying that anymore, but a lot of people were saying that, that, he just gets in the way of the success for Victor Wembanyama. I have no idea what you're talking about there. But if you want to say all that, whatever. But you cannot deny the fact that having a guy like that is very important. And the reason why I bring up this Suns game is because he came into the game and he punched the Suns right in their mouth. He made an instant impact as soon as he got in the game. Same with Devin Vassell, right? And Jeremy Sochan's mentality is super important because in my opinion, I think that the Spurs this past game got way too laid back when it comes to the plethora of threes that they took. It was just way too many. You got to get in the paint, pound the paint, get your points around the basket, and it felt like we did it for a little bit in the third quarter with Wemby, and for the most part, we did it. Now, we attempted to. Some of the players attempted to, right? They're just not good enough around the paint. If you're having an off game, it's going to look even uglier. Zach Collins and Harrison Barnes in particular, they just could not get anything around the basket. But at the same time, you need someone like Sochan that's going to, bring that little bit of nasty, that dirtiness. And you can even tell, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Devin Booker I would not be surprised if he absolutely hates Sochan, even IRL, okay? The way that he played against Sochan, and Sochan played good defense on him, but he got a little rough with Sochan at times. He got a little rough with him. So we're definitely going to irritate teams, but it's psychological warfare as well. Super important for the team. And I like that. I do like that mentality, right? That's why I call BS when people say, oh, the league is just way too soft now. It's like, no, you got players like this. You got players wanting to compete out there, Let's see. Man, I'm still upset. That's the first time I went to a game and the Spurs lost. I'm sorry. And by the way, the person who's saying this is one who supplied this clip for us, Blue Sky. He says, and it'd be one thing if the Suns beat us, but that's not the case. The Spurs beat themselves. That's the one thing, because someone in the chat earlier said, oh, well, this game wasn't as bad as the Mavericks one. But in my opinion, it's far worse because we shot ourselves in the foot. Those are the hard ones to watch where you should have won, but you didn't allow it. Funny enough, looking at this clip right here, I keep talking about how the Spurs start off, or they're becoming a second half team, but not necessarily a first half team now. 23-36 is how this game started off against the Suns, or not Suns, the Kings. I feel like it was a little worse than that earlier on, but you live and die by the three. I just feel like this game in particular, you should have made some adjustments. Play like Sochan. I'm just kidding. I know they can't. Not everyone can play like that. Sochan's style of play is needed for this team. Yes, undoubtedly. His style of play, his mentality, his defense, it's all needed. It's all needed. And the people that are just trying their best to hate on Sochan and say, well, Wemby can't play next to him. Guys, Wemby is a superstar talent. If he can't play next to a cutter like Sochan, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. If he can't play next to Sochan, I don't know. That's an issue. And it's not true, by the way. That's why I'm saying that. Of course he can. I don't know. And then Kyle says, nah, for real. And why didn't we try something new since what we were doing wasn't working? It was so like giving Mamu and Malachi minutes. Dude, Kyle, I think you just came in here and I literally said that maybe like 15, 20 minutes ago. No sense. I did not understand that at all. When only 4 of our guys come off the bench. I don't get that. If you're going to keep taking threes and that's what we're going to do, then you might as well throw Branham and Mamu in there and let them shoot a little bit. It's dumb. But we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. Just want to relay that information because I do think that it's a good thing, right? And the Spurs have the right mentality, right? They want to win. We have some legitimate tough players on this team, and everything's going to be all right. But, yeah, just sprinkle a little Spurs news. What I said while I was there is the strangest thing. You said you were courtside, man. You should have went over there and talked to Coach Johnson. Said what's going on. Bassey for defense too. Collins was garbage. Yeah, man, I couldn't figure out what the word. I still can't figure out what the word was that I was looking for. Hold on, because you guys said it was demeanor. I don't like Zach Collins' demeanor, but there's another word. I think we had a video and I literally put the title as something regarding Zach Collins. Let's see here. Where's Zach Collins? Morale. There it is. That's the word I was looking for. You guys couldn't figure it. It was morale. I don't like Zach Collins' morale. I just don't. Something energy? Yeah, energy. Same difference. Morale. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. I didn't like his morale. Yeah. Swag? No, I like his swag. I just don't like his morale. CP3 post game. You guys want to just add it to the segment? We'll just add it to the segment. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We got a game coming up soon anyways. It's going to be old news, so I might as well add it to the segment. Let's add it to the segment. Let's give the people of YouTube, that's not in the live chat, a little extra something. All right, let's see. By the way, that turnover, awful. That one turnover was awful. You know what turnover I'm talking about. It was terrible. All right. I hate this. I just wanted to say that. Not him. I hate this. I don't know. It just seems itchy.
For a young team like this that hasn't really been in playoff contention, does this game do anything playing for stakes and having to sort of a winner go home kind of game?
Yeah, this is tough. We knew how big this game was for us, and for me to come out and shoot the ball the way that I did, I got to be better and lead by example. You know what I mean? But I think our defense was pretty good tonight, but our offense was.
Okay, I know Chris Paul was 0 for 5, but how many shots did he actually take? He was 1 for 9. He was 1 for 9 from the field, and Wemby was 1 for 9 from 3. Good God. I do like him taking responsibility of it, though. That's cool.
It's not.
What did you guys do to get Victor going at the start of the third quarter, and why do you think you couldn't sustain that?
And by the way, he definitely has to lead by example because, like I said, that turnover was horrible, in which he was trying to direct traffic, telling Champagnie to cut. People saying, "Oh yeah, Champagnie should just cut." That's why he. No. You got to pay attention to his surroundings. That was a terrible turnover, and at times it seemed like he was getting very upset with our team, right? Which is fine, but I mean, you turned the ball over.
Don't remember. Honestly, I gotta go back and watch the game. More so during the game, it's crazy. I think we one of the top 5 teams in the league in the third quarter and one of the bottom in the first quarter. So that's something that we got to be
I did not know that. We mentioned it, and I had no idea. It was just a vibe I had that the Spurs' first halves have been pretty bad.
better at and be conscious of because, yeah, we down 10 at the end of the first. You know, it always seems like we play better in the second half, so we got to get off to a better start.
Best day to wear a striped sweater.
Well, what did you see from
is
Steph
all
Castle?
the time.
Really physical defense, couple of M1s.
One with the collar.
Charted his progress.
Turtleneck.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I expect that. You know what I mean? So Steph is not your usual
He's scratching
rookie.
it. I told you.
He plays big for us, a lot of minutes, night in and night out. So I think when he's playing, and I don't even think about him being a rookie. You know what I mean? He's just a hooper.
Obviously, didn't come up with a win tonight, but what kind of impresses you about the way you guys have defended all year?
Defense is all about communication and being in the right spots. I think the biggest thing that I'm always talking to our guys about is team defense. I think I've consistently been on good defensive teams my entire career. So it's what I've always sort of hung my hat on. So we're going to continue to try to hang our hats on that because that usually travels.
We need to trade Keldon and bench Barnes and Julian for Vassell and Sochan. I definitely agree. Barnes and Julian, especially Barnes, needs to go to the bench for Sochan. It's just that Sochan and Vassell coming off of a injury. I think they're trying to be a little, reluctant. But yeah, it needs to happen sooner than later. Like we looked at, this is the 5th time. It looks like the 5th time in his history, in the history of his career. That sounds weird. In his career, where Sochan came off the bench, and I didn't like it. All right, I wanted to set the tone early. Took too long. When he came in, instant impact. But yeah, as far as trading Keldon, I feel. I mean, there were so many talks even in the offseason. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, right? It's just a matter of when. But yeah, I don't know.
Chris, I wanted to ask you, we were talking to Booker about it. He said for these games he really gets up for in terms of the in-season tournament. But this being the second season, is that something the Spurs do as well? Like, you get excited about these kind of games?
Yeah, I think everybody does. And I like to pat myself on the back along with the other guys with the Union and Kyle Lowry and all them guys in the league who helped come up with this thing. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. You never know what it's going to look like. Last year was the first year.
Sochan defense alone is too impactful for this team. I think, yeah, and I think when you're starting, especially with this team, okay? Like, yes, our three-point shooting can be lights out at times, right? Yes, Wemby can shoot threes lights out at times. All that is great. But I think that the best quality of this team is the defense, statistically, and even the eye test will tell you it's the defense. It's very difficult for teams to score on them. And if that's the case, I think you should just quadruple down on that. And I think your starting lineup should have the best defenders and punch them in the mouth and get that going early. I don't know. I don't think the coaching staff was trying to balance the team by let's make sure Sochan and Vassell. I think it's just the injuries. But yeah, defense. I think you should quadruple down on that. And by the way, it started with Sochan, mind you. I guess this segment started with Sochan. It started with Sochan, okay? It started with Sochan. So drafting Sochan, not Devin. Devin's a good defender, but he doesn't have the same impact Sochan or Castle has. Sochan. People get on to me about that. Sochan. I've been saying Sochan so long, it's kind of hard to get off of it.
but the players have really bought into the Emirates Cup in-season tournament, whatever you want to call it, and it's exciting to see how the fans get into it, the courts being different, the basketballs, all of this stuff. So I'm excited to see how it grows.
Me too.
The NBA added Defensive Player of the Month awards. What are your thoughts on that being added in, Victor?
Do you think Wemby is out of shape? Nah.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know that. When I saw it, I thought it was Player of the Month. Then I seen defensive. Victor probably gonna get it every month. You know what I mean? I think he should have got Defensive Player of the Year last year. Just crazy, man. The league. I heard they're gonna start not counting the half-court heaves or something like that. Yeah, I don't know if that came across the competition committee. It's getting out of hand now. What we doing?
Stop counting the. What does he mean by that? Can someone explain to me what he meant by that? For what? What would they stop counting the heaves for? Like your percentages? Like against your percentages? But if you make it, I don't get it. I don't know what we're talking about.
What we doing? Yeah. So I don't know if that's true or not, but shoot the ball. It's got a chance to go in. Right.
Last one right here in the hat.
Okay, last second buzzer beaters beyond half court won't count against you. That's not a bad. He made it seem like that was a bad. Is that bad? Don't count for your percentage. I don't think that's bad. I think that's fine. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but what's the problem with that? Can someone give me a problem with that? Just off and odd. Yeah, it's a little odd. I don't know. And how often? Also, how often will that, like? It just doesn't happen often enough where it just destroys people's percentages or anything.
Hey, sir. Hey, Chris.
What's happening?
What's happening? Just wanted to ask you about Devin reaching 15,000 and what that he talked to earlier today about the connection.
Yeah, I didn't know he was doing that, and then I saw it tonight during the game. But I mean, Book play the same way every night. You know what I mean? He wears his heart on his sleeve, competes night in and night out, and I'm glad that I got a chance to be a part of.
Oh, you won't be rewarded the points for making the shot? That's stupid. Oh, Booker hit the Booker hit the 15K point club? That's what they're talking about? Just stat padding. Chris Paul, an old head, he's not going to like it because he didn't get the benefit in his career. Well, it's just, that doesn't happen. I mean, I don't even know where to find that stat. I don't know. Like how many half-court heaves Chris Paul has put up in his career and how that affected his percentages. I mean, it doesn't happen that often.
Those buckets, you know what I mean? And
it happens, but I'm just saying for like a specific player for it to hurt their stats. I don't.
Definitely congratulates to.
It happens after every quarter, but like I'm saying, the impact it has. Like how many individual players heave last second half court shots every game? I just don't think that it would impact your stats that much. I could be wrong. I don't know. Just a mentality, not really calling out Chris Paul. Every player would do it. Yeah, if anything, players will take more chances, which you should take that chance. You shouldn't be worried about your percentages on that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Congratulations to him on that.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
All right. That was fine. All right. Y'all got a twofer. All right. We got a game coming up, and we'll see how it goes. They should win, though. They should win. Even if, for some reason, Wemby can't play. It's an impact stat thing, but encourages players to try it kind of thing. It's just weird. I'm kind of in agreement that it probably should just stay how it is. If you're concerned with your stats, then I don't know. You're just not really competing. You shouldn't be concerned with your stats in that situation. Just do what you got to do. So NFL will dominate if Wemby doesn't show up next game. Yeah, bro, I'm flushing this L and ready to continue the upswing on the season with all the guys finally healthy now. We will adjust. Yeah, they'll be fine. I was very frustrated. Now I'm starting to get over it. I feel a little better. But Clan, personally, who would you like the Spurs to trade after, if at all? Personally, I think we should trade all our picks this year. No, dude. This is a really great year. I wouldn't trade any of our picks. As far as a player, that's a tough one. Honestly, and this is only because I don't think he fit, and I bring it up all the time, is probably Keldon. But, you know, I know that seems like a silly thing to say after he's had, I think, a couple good games, last couple games. But just overall, it's just like, I don't know, you might be able to get something pretty decent. Zach got to go. Yeah, I don't like Zach's. Like we said, I don't like Zach's morale at all. He's starting to irritate me. Something ain't right. He's starting to bother me. And it's beyond it's beyond the play, right? It's like kind of the attitude, man. I don't know. It's something strange. I'm gonna keep an eye on Zach Collins. I'm gonna start paying attention to him on the bench. I'm gonna pay more attention to him. Something ain't right. It's a weird vibe. So yeah, Collins, Keldon. I feel like you can still get use out of, Malachi. You just got to figure something out. But probably those two if I had to choose. I want Mamu taking Zach's minutes. I like Mamu's. I like Mamu's urgency. I wouldn't be upset if Blake left, though. Look, you're potentially getting 4 picks in his upcoming draft. Bare minimum, you're getting 2. You got to make room for those 2. I think City Sissoko, he's still cooking, right? And I think that he could legitimately be a good player off the bench. I like Blake Wesley for all of his athleticism. Malachi Branham, I love. He does have potential, but I trust him as one of our shooters. But 2 of these guys are going to be gone, right? So it's just a matter of take your pick. At least 2. And obviously they could send him to the G League, but this draft is so good, so I don't think that'll happen. Yeah, I'm about to head off. Get some sleep, Clan. Got a back-to-back. Yeah, so we'll go live Thursday night And then obviously Friday night, we'll be all right. Spurs will be all right. Should win that back-to-back. Who's the second back-to? I know it's the Bulls and then who? Bulls and the Kings again? Jeez, Kings gonna be ready, man. They were ready this last game. We just came back.